The 2022 season has seen the biggest regulation change in over 40 years. As with all regulation changes in the past, there are always teams that come out on top, whereas others fail to build a competitive car. Towards the end of the 2021 season, Martin Brundle, analyst of Sky Sports, said that Mercedes and Red Bull would face a disadvantage for the upcoming seasons due to their severe title fight and the newly introduced budget cap. Teams like Ferrari and McLaren, who haven't won a single championship since 2007 and 2008, hoped that they could benefit from the intense championship fight in 2021. But 15 races into the 2022 season, and we can conclude that not much has changed. Red Bull is still a title contender and is very much likely to win both the Constructors' and Drivers' Championship, which would be the first time they win both championships since 2013. Mercedes, on the other hand, can still be found at the front of the field, but sees their worst season since 2013. The German team isn't used to being the underdog in a race, and so they have tried everything they can to outmaneuver their competition. The best example is their revolutionary no-side pod concept, or maybe we now should say their not-so-revolutionary side pod concept. Wolff was delighted during preseason, and the German team expected to once again have outsmarted the competition. Yet, it was Adrian Newey and his team alongside Ferrari who came out on top. Unfortunately for the Ferrari drivers, their team of strategists and pit stop crew failed to match the skill set of their drivers and car. Former F1 champion Rosberg stated, "Even F2 or F3 teams do a better job at their strategy and pit stops than Ferrari. You were in the pits, and there is no tire there in a normal race." No. It is Red Bull that is the team to beat, and in order to do so, Mercedes went to extreme measures to slow down the Bulls. Ever since Mercedes experienced severe porpoising, Toto Wolff started to scream for a change of regulations. What Toto didn't mention was that it is mainly his team that bounced on track. But as they say, persistence pays off, and eventually Wolff started to come after all sorts of regulations to slow down Ferrari and Red Bull. The newly introduced technical directive to prevent porpoising and the use of Flexi floors brought a big smile to the German garage. Russell said, "There is doubt that Ferrari and Red Bull have pushed the regulations in that regards, and we have respected it as the regulation was intended. Spa is going to be interesting. The regulation change may bring other teams towards us." Their smiles quickly disappeared, as they had one of the worst qualifying sessions in over 10 years' time, as they were a full 1.8 seconds behind Max Verstappen. 2 races further, and it is the Red Bull crew that walks around with a big smile and fires back at Mercedes. So what can we conclude was the impact of the technical directive on Red Bull? Why did Horner and Verstappen have to laugh so hard about Mercedes? How has Ferrari been affected? And what did Toto say about Red Bull? Let's find out. The last 2 races saw a dominating win of Red Bull driver Verstappen. Although Mercedes was more competitive at Zandvoort, which is comparable to the Hungaroring, they were no match to the Red Bull. Although many Mercedes fans claimed that Verstappen was helped by the virtual safety car, the Dutch driver claimed he would have won anyways. After the Dutch Grand Prix, he said to Viaplay, "I would have gotten Hamilton and Russell had they stayed on the mediums. No matter the strategy, we would have prevailed." Wolff was furious after the race. He expected his team to be able to win the race if it wasn't for the virtual safety car. After Perez spun during qualifying and took away any pole position aspirations for the Mercedes drivers, Yuki Tsunoda added fuel to the conspiracy theories by causing a miraculous and strange virtual safety car. Toto said to Sky Sports, "Tsunoda that stops on track, drives without his seatbelt on to then stop on track again. It was a strange sight." Despite the disappointing end of the race, Mercedes was closer to match the pace of the Red Bull of Verstappen, and both drivers managed to beat second driver Perez. What has been more evident is the lack of pace of the Ferrari drivers ever since the technical directive was enforced at the Belgium Grand Prix. Binotto, team boss of Ferrari, denied that his team has been negatively affected by the technical directive. But what was the technical directive about in the first place? Mercedes claimed that Ferrari and Red Bull made use of a flexible floor that would allow them to lower their car height without the track scraping off too much of their plank underneath the car. The plank underneath the car is 10 millimeters thick before the race and should be at least 9 millimeters thick after the race. If too much material is scraped off, it means that the car height was too low and a team gets penalized. All teams try to lower their car this year as much as possible to reduce drag and increase downforce levels. However, because of the porpoising issues Mercedes faced at the beginning of the season, they had to increase the ride height to reduce porpoising and limit plank damage. However, this severely impacted their car performance. By having a flexible plank, which consists of a hard part at the front where the FIA do their thickness tests, and a softer part at the back, teams could reduce porpoising while keeping their car height low. Mercedes was delighted when they addressed this issue to the FIA, but both Red Bull and Ferrari denied the usage of these components. After the Belgian Grand Prix, Binotto said to motorsport.com, "I don't know about others, but the new technical directive has not affected our performance." Yet we can't deny the changes in car height as well as setup differences the Scuderia had to make. Binotto said that Spa would always be a difficult track to win on. But what happened during the Dutch Grand Prix? The Dutch Grand Prix shares many characteristics with the Hungaroring, which, up until Ferrari decided to ruin Leclerc's race, was moving towards an easy win for them. After the Dutch Grand Prix, multiple journalists asked why the Scuderia had so much problems at Zandvoort. Did the technical directive have a larger effect than anticipated? Once again, Binotto refuses to admit it had anything to do with the regulation change. It is not the directive itself that is causing us problems. Its effects are negligible. Here we have experienced a situation very similar to Budapest, where this rule was not there. Regardless of the tires we were using, we were not quick. So what was the impact of the technical directive on Red Bull? Pretty much nothing. Although all teams had to make minor adjustments to their cars to comply with the regulation changes, the Red Bull still sits extremely low to the track and experiences no porpoising issues. Horner already mentioned that the new regulations wouldn't affect them, and he was positive that it would extend their lead. After the Belgian Grand Prix, which saw a dominating performance of Red Bull, Homer couldn't help but laugh. On the face of it, I would probably have to thank Toto for the technical directive. I think this circuit has played to our strengths. A lot of expectation was placed on that technical directive. Arguably, perhaps it's hurt others more than it has hurt ourselves. We haven't really changed how we operate the car. Verstappen, who is in a different league in Spa and Zandvoort and has a real chance of breaking the all-time record of winning the most races in a single season, was laughing about the technical directive. To The Telegraph, he said, joking, "That technical directive has been very, very bad for us. As I said before, I didn't expect it to make much difference to our car. Whether it does for Ferrari, I don't know." So what did Toto Wolff have to say after 2 races? To Racing News 365, he said, joking, "The technical directive clearly enhanced Red Bull's performances. No, I have no idea. As I said before, it doesn't exist that a team becomes half a second slower or faster because of a minor regulation change. I don't know if the rules had an effect on Ferrari, but I doubt it played a role. Rules are rules. We have to do better. We need to comply with our own expectations and defeat Red Bull." The only team that seems to be affected by it is Ferrari. From a fan's perspective, it would be great if the FIA can give more clarity about what teams didn't comply with the initial regulations. A regulation change like this only goes into effect because some teams didn't comply. Although there were many rumors, no team has officially confirmed nor been found guilty of offending the floor regulations. The lack of transparency only creates confusion and fuels conspiracy theories. Do you think any of the top teams have been affected by the technical directive, or do you believe all the team bosses denying its effects? Let me know in the comments section below.